the FBI talk about it, though.
So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UB.
All right, so we're off to a great start, right? So the suspect arrives in some clothing, he changes that clothing, puts it in, I'm assuming, this tiny little backpack where he's also got a broken down 30-06. We'll get into that in a second. Climbs to the roof, changes his clothing, takes the shot, and we're going to get to the roof timeline events here in a minute. Changes back out of that clothing.
Ralph has back in competitive this season too.
All right, so more clothing changes than Taylor Swift concert. Sure, but we'll say that makes sense. What the FBI has also told us is, of course, that this is the suspect's murder weapon. All right, this Mauser 30-06 that they found later that day. Okay, again, this one, I've never believed this from the beginning, and we're going to get into why here as we move through the time events. But he supposedly changes his clothes. Now, a lot of people were trying to say that he hid this rifle in his jeans. Okay, well, let's take a look at what a 30-06 looks like stuffed in a pair of pants. All right, so courtesy of one of our viewers, yes, as you can see, what does an actual 30-06 look like stuffed in? Actually, they're kind of a pair of loose-fitting pants. Absolutely outrageous, ridiculous. So no, it wasn't just stuffed in this kid's tiny little skinny jeans. So the FBI then says, well, yes, he disassembled this 30-06 and he put it in his tiny little backpack, which I'm not even sure how the barrel fits in that backpack. All right, sure, let's just pretend that this kid is David Blaine Jr. and he somehow has a fully broken down 30-06 in this tiny little backpack that he has with, of course, his change of clothing on top of it. Also, the tools to put together and take apart this weapon. He gets to the top of the roof, and as you heard the FBI say there, he changes his clothes when he gets on top of the roof. He reassembles his rifle. The FBI says we know that's what he did because the FBI found the screwdriver he used to reassemble the rifle, and it matches the DNA to the shooter. Okay, let's see this. All right, so yes, here we go from FBI Director Cash Patel himself, a real winner in this entire situation, tells us the DNA found on a towel wrapped in woods with the 30-06 matches that of the shooter. Also, the DNA linked to Tyler Robinson. A screwdriver recovered from the rooftop, that's going to be important here in just a second, was also recovered. All right, so quick recap, because we got to stay in our timeline here because it's all over the fucking place. So the kid shows up, he changes his clothes, he's got his broken down 30-06 in his backpack, and his magic Houdini backpack with his fitting holes, crazy shit in it. He gets to the top of the roof, he changes his clothes, he reconstructs the rifle with this screwdriver that the FBI found, okay? Then, of course, we see him take the shot, and in the chaos, we see that first video of him immediately sprinting across the roof right after that shot. We then see him flee out the back. All right, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. So, if you see my cursor right here on the left, this is where the FBI says he took the shot from. Okay? We then see him immediately sprint along the front of this, that front view camera, and sprint around this right off the back, as we've seen. There he goes. He zooms in.
Come on, it's like a money thing.
He's got a rifle with him. We're going to see here in a second. That's just it. He jumps down, throws his backpack, picks his backpack up, which looks like his hat. He actually does, because right here, see this? Hat comes back on the head. Has nothing in his left arm, only the backpack in his right arm. Okay, you can see here, if this kid had a giant 30-06 somehow, 30-06. That weapon is completely assembled. So what the FBI is also telling you is that he reassembled the rifle before he dumped it in the bushes as he's fleeing the scene. How did he reassemble the rifle? He accidentally left the screen. Whoopsies. Also, Cash Patel, you announced that the DNA matches a towel found in the woods and a screwdriver, but you didn't say that the DNA matches the rifle. That seems like a match. Let's talk about the shot itself, because again, I've said from the very beginning, I didn't know this was a 30-06 based off of the official narrative, is that Charlie Kirk was shot from about 150 to 200 yards with a 30-06 round. You've all seen the footage, I'm sure, by now. None of that ever made sense to me, and we'll show you why. So we racked our brains back and forth about did Charlie have body armor, did he not have it on. We've run through the timeline of events and pretty much 100% confirmed at this point, no, Charlie did not have body armor. So what does that mean? The official FBI story means that he took a direct impact to soft tissue in the middle near the front from a 30-06 round from 150 meters. Okay? Let's do a little demonstration. All right, guys, this is going to be an actual ballistics demonstration of what a 30-06 round does to a mock gel human skull. Okay? These are literally designed to see what ballistics actually do to the human body. This is a 30-06 round. Let's take a watch. Still frame the pictures. So here's the actual still frame. Again, the FBI wants you to believe that wound right there is an entrance wound from a 30-06 round, which we just saw demonstrated, and there was no exit wound. Okay. You know, people say, well, bullets do funny things. Yeah, real funny, right? You guys realize the entire back of that tent, that white tent, would have just been painted with Charlie's blood. Just absolutely everything had that been for 30 minutes. Again, FBI story. So as we move through the timeline of events, yes, the kid escapes, and in the chaos, we have some very important things. We have that old man immediately causing huge distractions, so he's the shooter. Very odd. The FBI then, of course, immediately announces at 4:21 p.m. We got him. We got him, boys. About an hour and a half later, says we don't got him. Actually, get a good meet for this.
Got the guy.
Oh shit, did you really?
Nope, not the guy.
Oh. Okay.
This is the guy.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh, wait, nope, not that guy. What are we doing right now? I got a picture of the guy.
Yeah, how am I supposed to know that's the guy? Wait, how do I know that's the guy?
All right, I'll see you in Valhalla. Jokes aside, yes. So the FBI thinks they got him, they don't got him. They thinks they got him, they don't got him. Right? Then they find the murder weapon in the woods later that night, supposedly, I guess. Then, and again, we have to keep telling you this is the FBI's narrative. This kid goes through all this work, planning and preparation, pulls this thing off, gets away, gets in his car, drives all the way back home, and immediately confesses to his pastor father, who the FBI told us was a retired sheriff. Turns out, never in law enforcement. It's a construction business. I don't know. Immediately confesses and is turned in by his father, who is now going to receive a $1 million reward from Bill Ackman for turning in his son. Okay, so we got the shooter in custody. Of course, now we need motives. We need reasons. Because again, he carries this entire thing out. He confesses, admits it to his father, supposedly admits it on Discord, even though Discord is saying that that username and those messages don't actually exist. Even the FBI is saying that. And after confessing to all these people, turning himself into his father, he Gen Z kids. You guys, any of you have kids that are Gen Z or around kids that are Gen Z? Do you know how they talk? Skibbity toilet riz. Okay. But yeah, let's look at this conversation. Let's see what it says. Drop what you're doing. Look over at my keyboard. What? You're joking, right? I'm still okay with love. You're still gonna hold me longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I come home and grab my rifle. That's all I'm gonna do. To be honest, I'd hoped to keep this secret till he died of old age. I'm sorry to all of you. You weren't the one to do it, right? I am. I'm sorry. What fucking Gen Z kid talks like that? Really? And just happens to admit to everything. The rifle, that he did it, on a text message that you would know the FBI would immediately get a hold of. So that's the official FBI story. Let's just recap it real quick, right? So this kid drives from 3 hours away, supposedly knows everything about this going on campus, exactly where to enter from, where to go in the building, unless the pre-scout is somewhere. Got it. He shows up, changes his clothes, has his broken down 30-06 rifle, and a change of clothes all in this tiny little black backpack, gets to the roof, changes his clothes, reassembles the rifle with a screwdriver, takes the shot, disassembles the rifle, changes his clothes, runs and jumps off the building, runs out into the woods, reassembles the rifle without the screwdriver that he needed to because he left it on the roof, gets away, drives all the way home, and immediately confesses. But then now that's the FBI story. Got it, guys. This is the same FBI that is continuing to lie and cover up the Epstein files. I mean, Cash Patel just came out and said today that he doesn't believe Epstein trafficked children to anybody. Okay, this is where we're at. That's this FBI. Again, I get it. Some people out there really trust the government, and if the FBI says it, it must be true. Guys, we talked about the start of this in Occam's Razor. Is this story, is this the simplest story with the least amount of assumptions needed? This story is ridiculous. Now, like I said, this isn't going to be a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory video. I'm just going to show you the timeline of events so we all have the actual FBI story here. That'll probably be the next video I do where I give my real opinions on this. But there's also some other anomalies I think we need to look at because there's some things I'm wondering, like, why the hell are we receiving this information? Here's the first one. We know that there was this camera set up right behind Charlie. Multiple videos of that camera showing Charlie from behind as he's interacting with the crowd. But now we can't get the footage to this camera, so for some reason, this camera would show everything we need to know. Where's the exit? Maybe the actual trajectory of the round. Maybe hit here. Now was the exit? Well, this footage might tell us that. Here's the other one. Wouldn't the FBI be pretty interested in the coroner's report, the autopsy report? That would tell us everything. It would tell us the ballistics used, the entrance location, the exit location, everything. There's pretty much every question we need answered about that side of the story is right there. And that just doesn't seem to exist. Doesn't seem like we're going to get that information. That's pretty odd. All right, so here's the deal, guys. Is the end of it. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat. You should trust the government. You should trust the FBI. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm even reaching on any of this. I'm just literally going through the FBI's timeline of events and trying to objectively say, do these things make sense? Is this possible? And no. I don't see how anybody can look at that full timeline of events put out by the FBI, right? Could this actually be the shooter and all these things? Maybe. But the FBI has done such a horrible job at reporting all this that it makes the entire thing look like this. And so I think there should be some transparency. Where's the coroner's report? Where's the autopsy report? Where's the backside camera footage of all these things? It's there. Why aren't they being shown? It's all very, very odd and very, very suspicious. Of course, it's going to make people look at this as a conspiracy. And they should, because, again, the FBI report makes no sense. All right, so again, that's all this one's going to be. I'm going to probably do a couple more videos talking about what I think is more feasible that happened. Do I think that this kid was working alone? No. Do I think that this kid was the shooter? Judging by the FBI story? No. Just personal opinions, right? But, yeah, and then I'm also going to talk about sort of the response in America because things are getting pretty crazy. It's not you're listening to the FBI, just rolling your eyes going, what is this? Then you're not alone. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. Take care. I'll see y'all in the next one.
All right, here goes. Charlie Kirk in full context. One of the main chief complaints from Charlie Kirk supporters when all of these controversial statements came out is that they were all taken out of context. You can't just take a mere soundbite and run it. You need to hear the statement, hear the debate in full context. Well, we're going to do that here today. We're not here to celebrate Kirk. We're not here to call him a racist. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to take his statement and see if we can break it apart and go into the mindset on it. And of course, you'll be able to say what you need to say in the comments, whether you disagree, whether you agree, or how you feel in general. But we're going to take Charlie Kirk in full context. And we're going to take likely one of the most controversial statements you're hearing floating around now that he's passed away, with folks suggesting that this shows that Charlie Kirk was intolerant. We'll leave it up to you to decide. The statement we're going to tackle is Kirk's statement. When I get on an airplane, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, I hope he's qualified. Now we're talking about DEI and things of that nature. We'll let you hear him debating an individual that questioned him on this, an African-American gentleman. This is in full context. It's going to be a few minutes long. And then we're going to break down everything that was stated, and we'll certainly tackle your responses to the comments. Charlie Kirk in full context. Here goes.
So I got to sign him ahead of time. Yes, sir. How you doing, buddy? Everybody good? That's good. Okay, I got my phone off. That's cool for you? Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm gonna coach you real quick. You said if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Do what?
Okay, so can we both agree? What was the context of what I said? What was the context? I don't even want to go to DEI because we're opinion on DEI. It doesn't really help in this case. So, the context between what you brought up was that they were going to hire because they were black. Okay, so can we both agree? Yeah, every single pilot, whether black, white, whoever, has to go through FAA certification. No, actually, new lawsuit shows that black pilots and female pilots have the standards being relaxed. No, so can we agree at the time of February 29th or 2023 when you said it at the time? No? No, actually I said it, that's why you don't know the context, is that new lawsuits were showing that they were relaxing the standards for air traffic control and pilots in order to meet the standards. The context of that was diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that have to do with piloting? Everything. DEI definitionally is that we will hire more of a race versus a different race. So, for example, United Airlines said that they want 50% of their new pilots to either be women or black. Okay, currently, just so you understand, it's at 8%. They want to go from 8% to 50%. Okay. And every time DEI is implemented, every single time, they're lowering the standards of race. Every single time. Lowering the standards? Correct. So, can I prove it to you? We both want excellence, right? Okay. If you and I said, hey, we want 50% of the new people going in the NBA are white, would the NBA drop in its standards? No. If we said 50%, if we say by 50% of the NBA drops, and then only white. No, I said, if 50% of all new people going to the NBA were white, by decree, would the quality of play of the NBA decrease? Would the quality of play of the NBA decrease? Yeah, no, if there's the same standard of basketball. Hold on, let's talk realistic. Well, do what? 75% of the NBA is black. 75%. So does that mean white players are less better, or does that mean... Yeah, whites are not as good at basketball as blacks. Okay, well, we got some big exceptions. I mean, we're very proud of Larry Bird, okay? We're
Really, dude?
Luka and Nikola. However, the point being, let's implement DEI in the NBA. Okay. If all of a sudden,
You just own gold and you want to say what it says.
Which means they have to say no to otherwise good black players. When was there ever time in the time, right?
Try to score a goal in that one. Thank you.
That's good. That's the point. No, you understand saying that there was a time where the exclusion of African American players was in the NBA, right?
No, for sure. I acknowledge that. And the league got better as blacks were allowed in.
Because it was better, or did we just integrate ourselves in? Well, hold on, the players in the league added because around that time got worse. We just got better.
But hold on. Do you actually think that why is it that 75% of the NBA is black?
Right now? I mean, well,
What are you doing? The ball's in front of the goal. Why'd you go to the corner?
Why is it that 75% of the NBA is black?
Because we integrated into the league.
Well, because the best players are allowed to play in the NBA.
Actually, the best players in the NBA are European.
Well,
They're not African American.
a couple of them are. Like I said, they're very foul.
We're very integrated with sports, but what does that prove?
It proves that the NBA is not built on DEI, it's built on
No, the
excellence.
NBA isn't. So when you mention DEI, you're now saying that it's
You obviously don't know what DEI is. DEI,
I know what DEI is, but you're not giving me a proper explanation.
DEI is racial quotas.
Racial quotas.
Yes. You've never heard of DEI before. So, do you know what a racial quota is? You have to have a certain amount of a certain race. That is what United Airlines did. We must get to 50% of our pilots to be black or women. Therefore, if the NBA said 50% of our players have to be white, I guarantee you, we could try to get as many Serbs and Croats as possible. It's not going to make the NBA the best league. Instead, the NBA has a policy of which the NBA and the FAA and the United Airlines have the same policy. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, it matters how good you are at what you do. So excellence matters. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have
Maybe less
officially
time
went from
trolling
a
and being
sound
mad at teammates and more time learning how to be a teammate can be getting you better results too.
Go back and forth covering the entire soundbite in full detail. So I'm going to start out with the first question. Now that you went from the soundbite to hearing it in full context, did it change your mind at all? For folks who may have thought that Charlie Kirk's soundbite made him sound bigoted and racist, hearing it in full context, do you think it might change their mind and give them an epiphany? By the way, if it changed your mind, state it in the comments. If it did not change your mind whatsoever, state that in the comments as well. I'd like to hear it because now we're hearing it in context. Everybody's saying we need to hear his statements here in full context. Now, I wanted to start tackling some of the things that Kirk stated.
Well, you didn't forfeit either. I don't know how many points you want to lose by, but
Can we both agree that every single pilot has to go through FAA certifications? Indicate it doesn't matter whether the pilot is black, Hispanic, or whatever the case may be. They still have to be certified by the FAA. That is the question that he was asking Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk responded back by saying, no, new lawsuits are showing that they are relaxing the standards. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, Charlie Kirk is a very good debater. He is very effective at his debating skills. He knows that lawsuits are mere allegations. Understand that. He said new lawsuits are showing that they're relaxing the standards. I really wish he had have stated that the courts have ruled that United or other airlines are relaxing the standards. But a lawsuit could be anything. I'll give you this. Years ago, remember David Letterman, the late night talk show host? There was a woman that was indicating or suggesting that through the television, David Letterman was giving her subliminal messages, and she sued for that. David Letterman had never met the woman. She was hundreds of miles away in a different city from the studio, and she sued her. Now, she sued the host. Now, the case ended up getting tossed out. But the point I'm making is you can allege anything in a lawsuit. In fact, any of the folks who support Charlie Kirk would dismiss any lawsuit alleging anything against President Trump. There are women that are accusing Trump in lawsuits of sexually assaulting. You can make allegations of anything in a lawsuit. I really don't like that Charlie Kirk used allegations as opposed to something that was actually etched in stone, such as a court ruling that they have relaxed standards and things like that to hire black pilots. I haven't heard any court ruling that officially United, Delta, American Airlines, or any other airline has officially relaxed the standards. So he's using somebody's allegation via a lawsuit as justification for why he's thinking the way he is. And as I stated, Charlie Kirk knows how to debate, and he knows that that's just an allegation. My guess is if this debate was flipped and that questionnaire they wanted to complete this by 2030. So we're talking about a 9-year span. It's not we're going to just go out and start hiring starting tomorrow until we get 50% of our staff women or people of color. We're talking 9 years. So the idea that these folks are not going to be trained
Buddy,
standards
that's
for
on yours.
relax, when you got 9 years before you even complete it.
Buddy, stay out of the cat food.
You wonder what Charlie Kirk is talking about. Because they want 50% to be women or people of color. But when you go up to the year 2028, and they're not expecting it to be that way. They want to do it by 2030. That is plenty of time to take someone who has no flight experience at all and get them fully trained to fly commercial airlines. 9 years. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's kind of making it sound like United Airlines is doing this right now with 50% of their pilots are people of color, or they're putting out a bunch of people that are not trained. Like I said, the best we're working with right now is that there were lawsuits stating, but I haven't heard any of those lawsuits being ruled by an official court to be active. Let me know in the comments if you see others.
I don't want people like.
Because he started making a comparison to the NBA, and he talked about what the NBA was worth if 50% of the players were white. And he pointed out that currently the NBA is 75% black. I thought it was even more black than that, but I'll go with Charlie Kirk's numbers. 75% of the NBA are black. First thing I do want to point out, becoming a pilot, as long as you got a healthy mind, is something anybody can officially achieve. Playing in the NBA goes with natural ability, and things like the way you learn biology. So I don't know if these two things make a, in my opinion, and you know what you think in the comments, but in my
No, I agree.
I don't know if comparing something that is based on intelligence really works well with something that's based on natural God-given abilities, because it doesn't matter how much you practice playing basketball. If you're 5'1", you're never going to make the NBA. If you continue to focus on, coming out of high school to be a pilot, just about anybody can achieve that unless there's something really wrong with you. Maybe you're born with bad eyesight. But for the most part, anyone can be a pilot. Everyone can't make the NBA, so I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to compare this. We'll follow that path, because that's where Charlie Kirk went. Would the NBA be worse if 50% of the players were white? On its surface, we would say probably, but I do want to point out a couple of things. First of all, being a Gen Xer, only until recent have blacks not saw some sort of potential for success in avenues that are outside of athletics or music. If you grew up probably in the 80s or back, everybody was trying to get in athletics or music because academics was not really open to the black community. Lots of colleges were safety in, lots of professions were discriminated. But that's not going that way now. Now you have a hell of a lot of blacks that can succeed in academic-related careers. So you don't have as many blacks that are going about playing basketball and being rap stars as you used to back then. That's my opinion. And I will tell you this, just now you're trying to make these changes starting in 2021 by the year 2030, giving them a 9-year time. If you wanted to make the NBA 50% white, and you had 9 years to find really good players, I dare say you should do that and make the NBA just as entertaining as it is now. Because as the questionnaire,
Yeah, it'll all be relative.
a lot of these folks are coming from Europe, and with 9 years, you got plenty of scouting time to find folks, obviously.
Shit. Oh, I guess I'm not feeling this either, so. Ugh. the hell is that? Could have had that ball cleared. Jesus. Fuck. Okay. How does the... How does this game manage to, like... I don't know. They're not even teamed up. You serve in the weirdest way, dude. I can't even touch the ball in this chaos. Oh, fuck. Now, if I got a chance to serve, my teammate didn't go up. Why are you... let's just clear it. You need somebody that can carry you. You don't know how to play as a teammate. I can't carry. I need a teammate. Shit. Please, just forfeit, dude. How many points are you trying to lose by? Shit. Hey, you actually hit it in the right direction. That's a good serve. Five minutes for the first ever match. Fuck this game, man. Alright, this is over. I'll figure out something else.